Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Art Podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And the All-Star Week break has just wrapped up in Major League Baseball. And tomorrow is Friday, so games will be back resumed, and we'll be right back in action watching all our favorite teams. So Braeden and I are actually going to give you our biggest surprises of the first. Should say half, but I guess it's technically 90 games, so
Yeah.
not exactly half. But you guys get the gist. A big surprise so far this season, whether it's a player, team, just organization overall, and then we'll also give some hot takes that we think might happen in the second half of the season here. So stay tuned for our predictions right here on In the Yard. So, Brent, I think we wanted to start with probably biggest surprises so far. We're officially done with the All Star break, and tomorrow
Yeah.
games are getting back on. So I think it's safe to say like who our real surprises are. We had some like surprise like back in March and April, but that was super early in the season. But
Yeah.
now I feel like we have a little bit better idea of who teams really are. But yeah, so give me your biggest surprise so far this year.
Well, I guess, and I think I kind of talked about it either in the last episode or the episode before that, but um Tampa Bay and Toronto are like kind of two surprises for me. I didn't think that both teams would make the playoffs, but I had at the beginning of the season, like in our predictions, I had Tampa winning this division. And both
Mm-hmm.
teams look like a complete shell of themselves. Of even last year, like Tampa won 100 games last year, I'm pretty sure, and Toronto made the playoffs. And Tampa Bay, they're sitting right at 500 right now, but especially with how competitive the AL East is, that's not going to cut it. So
Right.
I would say, I mean, we could talk about Cleveland. We could talk about, there's other teams in there. I'm not really too surprised by Seattle. I had them as like kind of my surprise pick. Um,
Yeah, you were
when
you're you
our
were on the
standings at
Mariners. Yeah, you're on the Seattle Mariners bandwagon from
I
the beginning of
was
the
I was
season.
on the Mariners
Gotta give
bandwagon,
credits
but
there.
if you would have told me that at the All-Star break they'd be leading the division,
Yeah,
that would have
yeah.
surprised
I
me
would have
because
called you
I had them in
nuts.
the playoffs. I didn't have them winning the division though. I don't believe.
Right.
I had them like I think as the first wild card
Yeah.
team, like right behind.
Let me pull it up.
Um,
I think I still have it somewhere.
yeah, it should
Um,
be on our Twitter. I may have even had them winning it, honestly. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna pull it up as well.
you had
Let's see.
2024 predictions right here. You had no, you had the oh, never mind. You had the Astros winning the West, and then the
I
Mariners as the first wild card. So you're still pretty
and then
close.
Texas too, and then the Yankees. Yeah. So exactly. If you would have told me back in March that the Mariners would be leading this division at the All Star break, that would have surprised me. But I'm not surprised at their success. I think it's more so about the Astros, who looked really like pretty bad at the beginning of the season. I've kind of surged late. Now they're 4 games over 500. And also the Texas Rangers kind of also being a shell of themselves last year. So I think there's a lot more surprises across the AL than the NL. So, but if I had to pick one that was like, well, I did not see that coming at all, it'd probably be Tampa or Toronto. But maybe I should have seen that coming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could say there's a lot of surprises. You could go with the Rangers being kind of bad. You go with the Astros being kind of bad. Like you said before, the Rays and Blue Jays, same thing. But I think the biggest surprise to me that like really underdog kind of story is definitely the Cleveland Guardians.
For
Um,
sure.
they have the best record in the AL right now. They're not, and they look just super, just a consistent team. Like they don't really have their lumps. They kind of just play good brand of baseball, and that's why they're winning
And their
games. They
lineup
don't,
top to bottom is
yeah,
good.
yeah. They like they work at bats. They don't have really much power hitters. Aside from like Jose Ramirez maybe,
Yeah.
but um but yeah, I think he's like right behind Judge in RBIs now.
Yeah.
So I just think they really impressed. I think I had them like finishing third or fourth. Like didn't even
We both
consider
had them
them.
missing.
Yeah,
We
in
both
the
had
AL,
them
especially
missing
with the
because we both had
Twins.
the twins.
Yeah, we were really high on the Twins. I mean, two of the Twins have been really good since after April, but yeah, I would roll. I would say the Cleveland Guardians are probably my biggest surprise so far. I'm sure Cleveland Guardian fans are probably like, oh, we told you so, all that stuff. But yeah, I'm rolling with the Cleveland Guardians. And if I had to pick another one that's like really stood out to me, um, could go like you could go with the Red Sox. They're really hot now, playing
Yeah,
a good
this is
ball.
true.
You could roll with like someone like the Mets. Um, but I'm gonna go with the fact that the Diamondbacks aren't like as of right now, they're not in a wild card spot, which kind of surprises me. This doesn't
Yeah,
mean I don't
that's
think they
fair.
can turn around. I do think that the Diamondbacks will turn around. I think they're going to sneak in, like similar to how they did last year.
Yeah,
I know you're reading the second half versus first half versus second half records of teams from last year.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where the Diamondbacks stood there,
So let
but
me pull it up real quick. So
I
the
want I want to say the
Diamondbacks,
second half is where they really turned it around, and that's when they made that crazy run. They just won a bunch of games in like come August and September, and stuck into the playoffs from there, and then had their little dance to the World Series. But I'm saying I think this year we had like higher expectations for the Diamondbacks because they had that run, and we're like, yeah, well,
yeah,
they know who they are now. Like they know their brand of baseball. They got to play to win. But they just really haven't really been cutting it. Corbin Carroll really slow start to the season.
yeah,
Definitely had like a little sophomore slump there, but I think he's turned around in like June, July around, and I think he's kind of come back to more of himself. Christian Walker, who's been one of the better first basemen in the NL, besides aside from like Alonso and Bryce.
yeah,
Um, he's been balling out. Ketel Marte starting second base for the also, so they have
yeah,
a good squad.
for
Um,
sure.
they made the big Jordan Montgomery signing, so like I just feel like they didn't really put it all together. But I think they're going to come this second half here.
Yeah, and believe it or not, before the All-Star break last year, they had the same record as the Texas Rangers, 52 and 39. So they were, what is that? 13 games over 500. And
Mm-hmm.
after the All-Star break, they were the 21st best team in baseball record-wise,
Wow,
7 games under, 32 and 39. So they kind of slumped
they did some.
into the
Okay,
playoffs, right? I
okay.
think they got hot at
They got
the
hot in
end,
June.
but they
They got
I think
hot
they
in
had a bad
June and
August,
slumped, and then okay.
something like that. So
Right.
they actually were below 500 in the second half. Um but so
Snakes
was
alive.
yeah, I mean,
And they're only like a game. I think they're only a game out of the last wild card spot, so they're right there behind the Mets. I think it's between like Mets, Padres, that D backs. I can't remember the top of my head, but it's like I think the NL wild card is definitely more of a toss up than the AL as of right
yeah,
now.
for sure, for
Um,
sure. And it's not like, if you walk into, if you have a bad second half, then that sets you up poorly for the playoffs because the Texas Rangers last year after the All-Star break were 38 and 33, which is still 5 games over 500, but it's 13th best in baseball, right? So it's not like, the Dodgers were 49 and 24 after the All-Star break last year, and they lost in the ALDS to
mhm,
the Arizona Diamondbacks. So
right.
it's not really like if you slump, if you have a bad second half, or even like a not as good second half as compared to the first half, it's not like that sets you up poorly for the playoffs. You know,
Right.
there's no real correlation there. But
Yeah.
another team that it's not really a
I
surprise.
think I know
We
where you're
didn't
going
pick
with
them to make the
this.
playoffs. It's the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
it's
thinking a different
we
team, and that's in the Central.
okay. And what team is that?
I was thinking
The Royals?
we had really high. No, we had high expectations for the Reds.
Oh yeah. Well, I
You and
mean,
me
I guess
both.
that kind of goes hand in hand here,
You're
right?
right.
Because we both picked the Reds to win this division, right? They still have a positive run differential. They're just not winning games, right?
Yeah.
They're not a great home team. They're a better road team than home team. Um, but I guess like we shouldn't have slept on the Brewers. Like I don't know. Like I don't remember exactly how we rank these teams like from like each team in the division, right? But I don't know if we had the Brewers even at 2. Maybe.
I
We'd
had
have to might go back and go check
I
that, but
had the Reds coming in first,
for sure, we
and
both did.
then who did I have in second? It wasn't the Brewers. I think I had it was the Reds, and then
Cubs,
I think I had the Cubs third, the Brewers fourth, the Pirates fifth.
and then that
No,
would
because I
put
had the
the
Cardinals really
Cardinals.
low too. Maybe
Regardless,
maybe it was the Brewers. I don't know.
maybe, but regardless,
Forget.
I'm surprised at how well like the Brewers seem like because in years past we would look at the NL Central and we'd be like, yeah, like someone's got to win it, right? The Brewers are kind of a shoo-in to win it. It felt like for many years there. Um, but like you didn't really look at like, oh, any of those teams are a threat. The Brewers are good.
Right.
Like they're 13 games over 500. Good. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And the Cardinals aren't too far behind them, but when the NL feels kind of thin at the top, it feels like it's like Phil's, Dodgers, and then like you could throw Atlanta in there because I feel like they're always going to be part of the mix. But that fourth team, I'd probably go with Milwaukee right now. I feel like Milwaukee is to say that they're the fourth best team in the NL. I think that's a fair take. You know, I at least trusting wise, right? And I say all this because last year, before the All-Star break, they were kind of cruddy. I mean, I shouldn't say they were cruddy. I mean, they were 7 games over 500, but that was 14th best in baseball, right? So pretty much mid-pack. After the All-Star break, they were 43 and 28, which is third best. So
Mm-hmm.
at least compared to last year, they're a second half team and they're already 13 games over. So, they had, a similar record to Atlanta, but they were record wise better than the Phils last year. And I'm not saying that they're going to surpass the Phils or anything like that. But my
Right.
point here is if, at least last year shows anything, which it doesn't really, but, I'm just saying this team is going to improve as the season goes on. And then we could potentially have a conversation where we have a three-legged race where, if Atlanta continues to kind of struggle, they're always going to kind of be there, but we don't really know what they are. We might be talking about Dodgers, Phils, and Milwaukee, which I
Mm-hmm.
think would be a huge surprise if we're in the playoffs saying, hey, pick your three teams in the NL, and Milwaukee's one of them, and you're
Right.
like legit about it, and you're not just saying it to say it. Like, I think that would be really
Yeah.
surprising. So,
Let me read you some quick Milwaukee stats here as I'm on
yeah.
Fangraphs. So they're fifth in total hits and fifth in total team batting average in the league. Um, but they're actually 21st in total home runs, like team wise, which
But
kind of
isn't that what they've always been?
22nd. That
I feel like they've
I guess that's
always,
just a brand of baseball, just manufacture runs like small ball way.
yeah.
So
And
that's kind of interesting stat. And then going to the pitching side of things, their pitching's like solid. It's like top, above average in the league, but it's not like stellar.
yeah.
11th in ERA.
Okay.
And then let me find another quick stat here. 11th in ERA, and then total home runs allowed. They're actually bottom five in the league in total home runs allowed.
Okay.
So I don't know how they're winning games. I think they're just the good team that manufactures runs like small ball way, and that's kind of how they operate. It's kind of how they always been, like you said. And I got really good trainers. Christian Yelich just having a good year compared to last year. I think
Yeah.
that's a huge part of it too. Um, but yeah, I just think they're definitely like a sleeper team. They're not like the most like dramatic or like
No, I would never
big
pick
ball or
them to win the
nothing.
NL.
Yeah, but they're just solid organization. Can't sleep on them at this point.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I'm going with this is like if you're a team, honestly, like if you're any team, like especially the Dodgers with what's happened in years past where they've kind of been known as the chokers, right? Like I wouldn't want to see a team like Milwaukee because regardless of what the stats say, because the stats are important, right? You know, it's just kind of like they find a way to win games. And I don't know if how confident I would be in the Dodgers walking into a Dodgers Milwaukee series. I would not be like, oh, the Dodgers got us.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, I'd be more confident, even though they did get swept by Arizona, but I felt better about it. But now that that's happened, walking into this year, if they like right now got a team like Milwaukee,
Who did Milwaukee
I'd be
lose to
probably
last year in the playoffs?
Arizona.
They lost Arizona too.
Yeah, it was 3 games in Milwaukee. I'm pretty sure it was a
Gotcha.
wild card. I think it was
Gotcha.
Arizona at Milwaukee,
No, they
and I think
Arizona swept Milwaukee in two, and then they swept the Dodgers in three.
yes, that's
I
right. That's
think.
right. That's
Right?
right.
You're
No, you're
right.
right.
Okay. Okay.
You're right. And
Sorry. Yeah.
they did small ball, and I feel like
Right.
this team can kind of do the same thing. And if I'm the Dodgers, like that would kind of be a concern, right? Maybe
Right.
not so much for the Phils. The Phils feel like a little bit better than the Dodgers, I would
Yeah.
say right now.
Yeah, they're more
But
consistent of a lineup, but yeah.
my point here is I would not want to play a team like Milwaukee because yeah, they don't jump off the page with like a ton of home runs or a ton of this or that, but regardless of what the stats say, their stats say that they're like a above average team, but they're 13 games over 500, which
Yeah.
is not above average.
Right.
So like they find a way to beat you, and maybe they're beating
I
up
mean,
on
it
teams.
it is
But
above average, but it's more than above average. I mean,
exactly,
right.
exactly. It's enough in a thin NL where a team like Atlanta isn't playing as well as you maybe have expected. The Phils
Right.
have kind of taken that spot. You know,
Yeah.
the Diamondbacks aren't, exactly what we thought they were. Probably still a wild card team, but not 100%
Right.
certain there. You know, it could be interesting. I could
Yeah.
see, and last year in the playoffs, you know, we could dig this up too, but we did our playoff bracket last year. Is I had the Brewers in the AL or the NLCS, right? Losing to, I think they played the Dodgers or something. I don't remember exactly what it
Yeah, I
was,
think
but
they
I
went with
had
if the Diamondbacks beat the Brewers or the
something like that.
Brewers, yeah, played the God, I forget.
I had them upsetting at least one series, right? I
Right.
had them getting out of the wild card was my point, right? So I was really off because I had Arizona losing early. Um, so I mean, like it could totally happen. So not to make this all
Right.
about the Milwaukee Brewers, but they're a team I definitely, as a fan of the game, I'm keeping my eye on, especially second half of the season, because if they continue to play well, they're not a team you'd want to play.
Yeah. Don't sleep on the Brew Crew.
Exactly.
Baseball City, Milwaukee.
There you go.
All right. But we're 8 minutes left here in our episode. So give me so I think we kind of want to transition into like kind of some hot takes for the
Yeah.
second half of the season. I guess I'll start. So as of right now, as it stands, Braden, I
Yeah.
think so. We have, the Orioles in first in the East. You got the Guardians in first in the Central, and then first in the West is the Mariners, and then the next
Yeah.
three wild card teams are the Yankees, Twins, and Red Sox. And I
Okay.
think I think that's how it's going to end. I think that's how the season's going to end. I think the Red Sox are legit.
You think they're
They're
gonna get
playing a
in?
they're playing a great brand of baseball. They haven't slowed down since like June. Um, and I think the Twins are really good too. They had a really slow start in April. So I'm rolling with the hot take that it's not that the exact order is going to be the same, but those six teams that hypothetically would make the playoffs now are going to be the six teams that make the playoffs come
It's just a
October.
matter of how you order them.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. That's
I don't really know who else is in contention. You got the Royals in there. I think, like I said, I think
I
the
think
Royals are
one more
1 year
year.
away. I think they're 1 year
Yeah, I
away.
agree.
Astros had a slow start, kind of turned it around a little bit there, and then you got the Rays. So those would be the first three teams out of the
So
wild
you
card.
think the
So I'm really
Astros
rolling with these teams that are in the wild card now as it stands, just because I think they're just playing a better brand of baseball than everyone else.
so what I'm hearing is no Astros in the playoffs?
As of
Or do I
right
have
now, yeah. If the Red Sox keep playing the way they do and the Twins keep playing the way they do, as long as the Yankees don't completely fall off, yeah.
no defending World Series champions in the playoffs,
No,
is
I
what I'm hearing.
think I think the Rangers are. I think they're done. I think they dug themselves too deep of a hole. Right as of right now, they're 7.5 out of a wild card spot.
Detroit's
So
ahead of them.
right, then the four
Wow.
teams under 500. So
Um,
so yeah, that's my hot take.
I'll give a quick take here. Um, as it stands right now, my playoff teams in no particular order. I'm just gonna go division by division, right? For sure, locks for me. Baltimore, our New York Yankees, the Cleveland Guardians, and I think Seattle keeps it up,
Okay.
right?
So based on those last two spots, then
Um, I'm looking at the Houston Astros to have a great second half. I think
wow,
they're gonna get in. I think they're probably I think they're gonna pass either Boston or Minnesota. I think for sure one of those
damn.
teams is not getting in.
I mean, I hope it's the
Um,
Red Sox, but we'll see.
yeah, like what I envision, right, is Baltimore, New York, Cleveland, Seattle, Houston, Minnesota, right? And Boston doesn't get in. Right. I'm hoping our Yankees can win the AL, but if or the AL of course would be great. At least the AL East.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm confident in them to be the one seed or the first wild card team, and then I would look at a team like Houston and then either Boston or the Twins. I just can't see a world where this Houston Astros team misses the playoffs, even after Dusty Baker walked away. They're they're just inevitable. Like
That's true. They're like the
I feel
Chiefs.
like if we both I feel
They're
like
the
if we
Chiefs of the
both keep
MLB.
them out,
Yeah,
I feel like if we both keep them out, it's like for sure that they're gonna get
that's
in. So
true.
I'm gonna say they're
The
gonna
in the
get
yard
in.
jinx. The in the yard
The
jinx.
thing that I'm worried about though, right, is if my memory is correct, right? The wild card teams face each other in that first week, right?
So it's
The two top
two
seeds get a wild or get
get
a
a bye, and then the third division winner. So the division winner had the worst record of the three division winners plays the last wild card, and then the 1 and 2 wild card play each other, and it's
yeah.
best of
So
three.
what would concern me about this, right? And the Yankees are considerably better than the Houston Astros are, I would say, is we could see a wild card 3-game series where the Houston Astros comes to the Bronx. I would not really want that as a Yankees fan, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if the Astros get hot, the Yankees could be that fourth team, like the fourth seed, the first
Yeah.
wild card team, and then the Astros could be the fifth. Not ideal, probably, if you're a Yankees fan, because you would prefer to not see that team. But, you feel like you're better than them. It's just they've kind of been your kryptonite in the playoffs. So I get it. You
Mm-hmm.
got to beat the best to be the best, but it's like, I don't know.
Astros
Like
have the
that,
number for sure. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's the one thing that, kind of worries me. I'd rather see the Astros maybe get that 6th seed and then get stuck with like Seattle or
Yeah.
something like that in that first round, uh, and allow the Yankees to face like a team like Minnesota,
Right.
because the Yankees have their, you know what I mean? Like that in an ideal world, that's how it would play out.
Right.
But I I just can't see a world where the Astros miss. I could totally see a world where the Texas Rangers miss at this point. Um, I think that I don't know the last time that's
Yeah.
happened,
The
but like when was the
Astros.
last time?
Yeah, the Astros missing the playoffs is it's like the Chiefs missing the playoffs. Like it's not gonna happen.
Dang,
I
it's like
mean,
a lot of people counted out
I can
Kansas
see where you're
City
coming from. I know I
yesterday.
have them out, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
We're running 2 minutes, Braden here.
yeah, and then got in the
Yeah.
NL, like
The NL
and
to
you,
me is more of a crapshoot. Ask me in a month. I think feel like I have a better
appreciate it.
idea of like who teams really are because I feel like there's a lot of teams that didn't really play to their full potential in the first half. But ask me in a
Yeah.
month or so, and then I'll lay
So
my
so
predictions
right
on the
now, I'm
second
gonna
one.
I'm gonna ask you right now. The division winners are who? Like who it is right now? Are we
Let's
confident in
Phil's,
that?
Dodgers, Brewers. Yeah, I don't think anyone's catching those three teams.
I agree with you 100% there. All right,
Um,
and then
so it's kind
give
of
me three wild card teams.
the wild card teams. I'm gonna roll with the Braves.
I think
And
they're in. I think
I think the
they're kind of
Diamondbacks
a
are going to
lock.
sneak in. I really think the Diamondbacks are going to sneak in, and I
Okay,
think the
and then
Reds are
that
going to sneak
final.
in. Give me the Reds. I'm kind of rolling with my original picks there with the
Wow.
Diamondbacks and the Reds. I'm gonna roll with them because I picked them at the beginning of the season. So
See,
yeah.
I'm off. I'm off on the Reds because we went to the
Wow.
stadium and they lost, right? So I agree with you. I like Atlanta. I like Arizona, and this isn't in any particular order. And believe it or not, my last team is going to be the New York Mets.
Okay. I they're playing a great ball right now. So 7-3 the last 10. I think
And
they
you
had
know
a
what?
slow
I think
start,
really
but they
plays
really
into
turned
that
it around.
division's hand.
Francisco Lindor's having one of his better seasons again. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of talk about them being sellers at the deadline. I don't think they're gonna be sellers anymore. I think they'll be
No
probably
way.
all in at this point. So
Yeah. And another thing I think plays well into their hands is they have the Nationals and the Marlins in their division. So,
yeah,
like, if they win those games, to me, it's like they can do it.
that's fair.
So I'm not rooting for them, right? They'd probably get Atlanta first round. That could get interesting, a division opponent,
Right.
but that's what I would say. It's to the Mets.
There you go.
Cool.
Cool. That wraps it up here. Thank you
Yeah.
for listening in the yard. Our tailgate's right around the corner, July 29th. Hope to see you there. Again, thanks for listening to our podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know who your biggest surprises was and so far, and some hot takes going into the second half. Thanks for listening.
You guys.